Hello, everybody. It's your old friends and the best of all worlds here. Myself, Jerry. No, you're Jerry. I'm Jonathan. Do you think I was after like 26 episodes, you'd know which one is which? But there you go. Apparently, we just look so alike. Welcome back to the Best of All Worlds podcast, where we are going through the archives of the stars and trying to find the best ever episode of Star Trek. After what is now a quarter century of entries on this series, we have a very defined list. But we are starting to change with the formula, like warping the very mechanics of space and time, Jerry, because this latest arc is kicking off this episode with timey-wimey episodes.
I love it.
Yeah, this is where it gets very interesting indeed, because there are some very strong candidates. As you all know, whenever time gets involved in a Star Trek episode, it is automatically better by 33.3%. So we're starting off the trend quite well. We're actually going a little bit lighter for this first episode, and then when we get to the later entries, they're heavier hitters that could very well challenge a tough spot. But this one could fly under the radar a little bit. I think it's fair to say, Jerry.
I think it could because this one has a lot of different elements. This is a specific time travel episode. That's number one. This is a Deep Space Nine episode. That's number two. And this one is a Ferengi Central episode.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best Ferengi Central episodes. When you're talking about Ferengi Central, 90% of them are around one particular person and his band of miscreants. And that's of course Quark.
Yes.
And I only realized it because what I'm actually doing at the minute is I'm doing a rewatch of all the Picards. Because I don't think the first season got a good shout at all. I'm rewatching it. I've been rewatching it over the last few days, and I'm looking on. I actually really like this. The first series, because it didn't match with everybody's
expectations.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a thing where it's shit, and it's exactly how Star Wars went. The new shows, make it the same. No, that's too much the same. Make it different. No, that's too different. Go back to being the same.
Yeah,
you just can't please people. So, but what I didn't realize is what I'm doing now is obviously going through it, but I'm trying to watch out for the little things that I missed before. And I had it in my head that it was very far away from the likes of the next gen DS9 Voyager era in terms of computers, in terms of sounds and things like that, and he couldn't be further from the truth. The amount of things like the sound of doors opening, the sound of people chiming on doors, the sound of the people touching pads, it's all still there. Obviously they put in this like kind of all like the holographic screens type of thing, whatever, but it's all there. It's all there. And what I didn't actually notice before is that one particular episode, when they're trying to gain entry to this bar to find Bruce Maddox, they're talking to this big huge lizard dude, and he talks about your what was it, the person who vouched for you, Quark. He says the person who vouched for you, Quark or Ferenginar. I'm like, how did I not notice that before? Quark or Ferenginar? How the fuck did I not notice that? I'm like, Jesus Christ. And that's not the only time he's mentioned in Picard. I think there's another instance he's mentioned in Picard as well.
He was on the planet Free Clouds, where it's actually shown that he has a franchise. Yeah. Where like one of the neon signs is just called Quarks, and it's obviously like a generic logo. So he has actually made his bar into a franchise.
Yeah, and then you look at as well. He has actually appeared in Lower Decks as well. Yeah. Bracken episode he was in there, and I'm like, obviously there's enough interest from past and present fans to be able to go, okay, we need to actually take the budget of whatever we have here, and we're going to get Legacy on its feet. We're going to do another show that involves even more of these characters because people want to see them. You look at what they did with Lower Decks. Lower Decks is the perfect example. The amount of guest stars they had on Lower Decks is incredible. And one of the favorite episodes was the one that had Quark in it.
Yeah, Quark that's a wonderful episode. And at time of recording, when this comes out, this will have a bit of lead time on this, so this will be very out of date. But the next episode of Strange New Worlds that's due to come out is the crossover with Lower Decks. So you
Yeah.
get to see purple haired Jack Quaid acting like the absolute fucking idiot, like he normally does. To be fair, but that's the saying. Like that's there is a crossover. There's a lot of crossover in the universe, as I said, but there's also a lot of time for those kind of that potential continuity show to just fill in more of the blanks that we've been missing, and just give us more. So like there will be a show that gives you brand new stuff and groundbreaking stuff, in terms of the Star Trek franchise, but then it'll be just like shows that are more of the same. And
Yeah.
like Strange New Worlds is more of the same, whereas Discovery is the proverbial Pathfinder. So everything's kind of like it's all ticking different boxes at the moment,
Yeah.
and either way, the fan base is hopefully satisfied. It never is, but nevertheless, like at least for the Ferengi stuff, I don't think we could really ask for a better deep dive into the Ferengis this time around. This is a fun episode. In case you couldn't see the title, we are watching Little Green Men, which is them basically confirming everything that Fox Mulder believed and more. If we can put it
Yeah.
in generic context like that. So I think we're ready to start, Jerry, on that. I don't think we need a
Yeah.
better hook than that. So are you
Nope.
ready to start this episode?
I'm ready to go.
All right, then. So in that case, to you viewers, obviously you may be aware of the drill by this by now, but I'll remind you anyway. This is literally Best of All Worlds. It's a half watch along and a half episode review. So if you want to, on a streaming device of your choice, you can watch along the episode with us with our obviously alternate commentary. Or if you don't fancy that at all, you can give us about 45 minutes on the video, and then you hear about all the little trivia notes and our review of the episode after that. So feel free to watch along with us, but if you want to skip that part, we respect that, and we will learn to live with it because we have to. Anyway, let's begin on that then. On 3, 2, 1, play. Oh, look, it's Rom.
Already starting off great.
Yeah. Can we just say that the Ferengi guys are just have a tremendous level of drip? Like they have just recycled every single carpet they found on Ferenginar and just decided to wear it themselves.
I believe some of that was in my mother's house about 15, 20 years ago.
I'm nearly sure that's my old sofa. Not Rom's one, the one behind that.
Yeah.
Again, we've also mentioned this before about how like one of the greatest accomplishments that DS9 has done is actually make people respect the Ferengi culture as
Yeah.
opposed to just the Jewish stereotypes it started off as in the Next Generation.
Yeah.
Like that's and again you can listen to a lot of the people who played Ferengi. They took a personal interest in that. Like Armin like practically wrote the character bible for the Ferengis just as an apology for playing an original one in the next generation.
Yeah.
And again, that says a lot about him as an actor and as a human being that he's willing to arrest those mistakes from the past, you know? And it's not even it wasn't even his mistake. Like he was
No.
just there. That was just
an
a gig
actor.
for him. It was the writers, yeah. You know.
Bloody writers.
Yeah. Whatever it is, I don't like it.
I love his interest in this. I really do.
Yeah. It's one thing that Worf always does. Like he is always the contrarian of the group, where like he's the one person to like Riker's cooking. He's the one person who's going to take the most unpleasant thing in a potluck and want to buy it. Like
Yeah. Do you know what I just realized there now, right? When you look at the Ferengi and the fact that they have that was a Ferengi 2 sharpener, right?
yeah,
If you look at the Ferengis, I'm only realizing this now. They look like people who have gone to Turkey and before they've gotten their permanent white teeth put
yeah,
in. Holy fuck.
But isn't it mad that like that's just an evolutionary trait? Like they just have random teeth, and the sharpener doesn't actually like fix the mouth. It just makes things worse. It's almost like a show of dominance. Almost, if you have the sharpest teeth, therefore you're better at the negotiating table. Like again, that
Yeah.
in itself is just a wonderful bit of subtext.
Yeah. But
Like if
it
you have
just,
really clean sorted teeth, then you're obviously shit at your job. Is
yeah.
that kind of weird like duality?
Yeah. But I've never gotten that before because just looking at Quark there, I'm like, Quark's the perfect example. Quark is the example of all the people who put up pictures of themselves just before they get those teeth
The
installed in.
veneers, yeah.
They've gotten their teeth filed down, and that's exactly what it looks like. I'm like, this is mental.
I really want to see Cork now with a set of veneers in whatever
Yeah.
remake. It's like just big fucking horse teeth. Like, hello, welcome to Corks. I'm in tormented pain.
The one thing I found was that disappointing about this episode is that he didn't keep the ship.
Yeah, I found that strange as well. It's just like it's literally the one thing you wanted.
Yeah.
I really like that. I like that as an idea. The fact that like because even though like Cork had so many moral objections to him going to Starfleet Academy, he's
Yeah.
basically chauffeuring him in the fanciest fucking historically significant shuttle he could find.
Yeah.
Like that's like me, like my folks like bringing me to college in the fucking HMS Bounty. I was like, oh yeah, we found this 1960 Cortina we've had for 50 years. Here, you drive it to work for the first time. It's like, what? I'm not doing
Yeah.
that. You can go and shite, man.
This is the thing about traveling in Star Trek.
Mm,
When you actually work it out to get from Bajor to Earth, unless and traveling at high speed, high warp, would take about 2 weeks.
mm,
Um, and myself and Wade or Stephen, who we've had on the show before,
mm-hmm.
we've discussed this at length, and obviously these ships fly at the speed of what? So a normal ship would take 2 to 3 weeks to travel from Deep Space Nine to Earth, whereas Quark's
Yeah.
going to get there in a few hours.
Mm,
And it's the same way it was during the episode where it looked like the Dominion had gotten to Earth. The changelings were on Earth.
yes.
And it meant that Captain Sisko contacted Defiant and they were there in a few hours. I'm like, that's not how it works.
They
It
broke the
takes two
speed law.
weeks.
They went to warp 9 instead of staying to 5.
Yeah, but that's just it. We worked it out as that if something like Voyager
Mm,
can have a sustained warp speed of 9.9 for months on end, if needs
yeah.
be. Whereas the Defiant is not built like that. The Defiant would need to shut down and repair after 12 hours.
Yeah, it's a sprinter
So,
as opposed to
yeah,
Martin Moore. Yeah.
exactly. So it's Gimli, basically.
Yeah.
They're over short distance. So the thing about it is that this Ferengi shuttle wouldn't even be able to go warp 9.
No.
So it's the thing. It's like it's probably going to would probably take them at the speeds that they're going to be going probably about a month to 6 weeks. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and
it's still only going to be in a few hours.
that'd be hell for Nog.
Yeah.
Is it fair to say that Morn is perhaps the greatest reoccurring joke in Star Trek?
Yeah.
Considering
I would
like
have loved to hear him speak in the
oh
last
no,
episode.
I think it's perfect that you never do. Like you always hear about how mouthy he is, but never on screen.
Yeah.
And again, my favorite thing about it is that he's a piss take of a character from Cheers.
Hmm.
That is just like it's just fucking excellent. And even the way they shoot him at the bar, literally the same place where Norm himself would be. It's just fucking
Yeah.
just such a little gag there. It's just that's such an in joke as well. And then when you realize like, oh yeah, Norm,
Well,
warm, fuck.
I tell you what, you'd miss that man terrible, wouldn't you?
You would, especially just there. Like when he, when Renee is at his most smug, he is at his
Yeah.
most powerful.
I didn't realize though he was as old as he was when
Mm,
he died. I think it was late 70s, early 80s.
yeah.
Um, and I'll always regret the fact that I had a chance to meet him, and I just didn't bother.
Ah,
And not lovely.
oh, and then lovely. From bromance to bromance.
Yeah,
Another positive of Deep Space Nine and its writing: positive male relationships. Yeah,
I do love the fact though that um both Colomini and Alexander
Alexander Siddig.
Siddig
Yeah.
have both said that they would have liked to have seen an actual relationship between the two of them. Now
Yeah.
everyone expects it to be between Garrick and Doctor Bashir, but these
Mm.
two are like, no, we would have liked a relationship between them. Like, yeah, dirty cheating bastard, fucking Chief O'Brien, you can't be cheating on your wife.
Oh, come here. If yeah, well, hang on. They're all competing for football there because, like, Bashir would have probably shagged half the fucking station if it was allowed.
Oh, it was allowed, and I guarantee he did it as well.
That's very true. Yeah,
Sure, look, uh, he secretly got Major Kira pregnant 3 or 4 times.
that's true. Jesus, that's one way you're looking at it. Yeah.
It's mad because they were obviously they got together, they got married, they have a couple of kids, they had a bad breakup, didn't talk for
Mm.
years, and now they're best friends.
It's mad, isn't it? Time heals all wounds, as they say.
Yeah.
And now, Ultimate Cisco, bald and beards,
Hmm.
just waiting for the final piece of the puzzle, the grey uniform, and
Yeah.
then everyone dies.
Pity.
Pity them.
I love what he said there. We had to buy warp technology. I'm like,
From who? From who? The boys taught want to argue politics.
yeah.
That's it. That's why I love the. That's why like I've grown to love the Ferengi episodes because they're just such a lovely change of pace, aren't
Yeah.
they? Like just oh, it's always an episode where like it's if the first scene is Quark or before the intro cutscenes, Brink or Brun shows up. It's like fuck, fuck, fuck,
I do
fuck.
love Brunt. I do love Brunt.
Hmm.
Brilliant.
Is this the best? We'll probably waiting for this question until the review, but I'll let you stew on it for now. Is this the best Ferengi episode that DS9 has to offer? We'll,
I'm
we'll,
going to
we'll,
say
we'll sit on this
I'm
point
got
for next one.
I won't answer it yet. I won't answer it
Yeah,
yet.
that's a great little touch there as well, by the way. That bit of continuity. Well, when you say it like that, it does sound bad, doesn't it?
Just a tad.
Mm. You getting all this? Shake cam, shake cam, shake cam. Immediately can tell. Oh shit.
Yeah. I love the fact that they just automatically assumed that they were Martians.
Yeah,
Just after 2 years after World War II.
indeed. Well, we know what happens here, didn't we? Famous day for conspiracy theorists worldwide. And then shoot him. I just love that just everyone's just like huffing away. It's just like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not really stressed out at all. I'm fine. It's good. Absolutely fine.
Even he's on his cigars,
Yeah. I picked the wrong day to stop smoking cigars. And this is the only time we ever hear the Ferengi native language.
I think you might hear it in the Ferengi Enterprise episodes, but only
Oh,
a
perhaps
small amount.
actually, yes. Yes, yes, yeah. I think you're right in that.
A small amount at the start, and then Hoshi gets the universal translator working.
Yeah. Look, I mean, look at their drip, Captain. Their suits are so much nicer than mine. In fairness, Denning, that's a rental. Cigar. That would be a rager for a Ferengi if the plastic statue was a human all along. It just ends up being Donald Trump, just caked in gold, liquid gold. We are MIP 1, MIP, and MIP 2.
Australia.
And with everything, Quark smells of profit.
Essentially, Quark is Del Boy.
Oh God, he is. He is the most. I like. I wonder, did Stephen Bear watch a bit of Only Fools and Horses, because it is actually quite impressive how close to the mark he gets with the character.
Max.
Oh God, he literally just asked it. Can you wank me off, ma'am,
Oh,
please?
Jesus.
Can you? It's all the nicotine in the air. Got those city Australians.
City Australia.
Thank you.
Neep, neep, grand. Thank you by the Ferengi.
That's right. Just smoke 2 cigarettes. It's fine.
Yeah. All they did. It's mad.
Yeah, it's insane. How would they know?
Like saying that, like I obviously know the dangers of smoking, so I don't smoke, but I will smoke a cigar.
Yeah, but I think the
Uh,
cigar thing is kind of like a status thing, isn't it? Like it's very like I think it's a very male thing to smoke a cigar. So like,
uh,
yes, man, just blow that word out and smoke,
I like
man.
because obviously I don't inhale it, but I will. I like the taste of it.
Yeah,
I like the
love the
feeling
smell
of
to
it.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the smell. The smell
Mm,
and the taste for me, I love it. You know, there's this particular brand I used to always get, and unfortunately, can't get them anymore. Well, you
mm.
can, but it's an order off the internet type of thing, and I'm like,
Yeah. All this is giving course great ideas, isn't it? It's just like,
mhm,
oh my god, they're ruining their own planet, they're killing the environment, and they're poisoning themselves.
yeah.
I want
You
to
think
stay in
about it though.
1947 forever.
Yeah. You think about it though. Quark could literally have taken over the entire world.
Yeah, and you know what? He would have probably done a better job than others. Maybe he would have invented Amazon the whole time.
Tesla.
Yeah, exactly. No. That's too pioneering. He wants to create. He wants to. He wants people to buy things. That's Amazon's bail
He's
though.
very Elon Musk though.
He is a bit musky, all right. Yeah, I thought he'd be more Bezosy though. You know. Also, this episode is getting an extra point solely because it has a dog in it.
Hmm.
I don't make the rules, folks. That's just the way it works.
That's the way it works.
It's the way it works.
Du-du-dum.
Dun dun dun. My name is Clark, Chief Financial Officer of the Ferengi Alliance. I've got a business proposition for you. I even put my jacket back on for you. In a universe, translate. Trust me, it's easy. So this gadget of yours is what makes it possible for us to understand each other. How to work. It's simple if you know how. You'd be surprised that you have the right technology. Which brings me to one. I was wondering about that. By my people to open up a market for advanced Ferengi technology. What kind of technology you talking about? How would you like to travel beyond the stars at speeds you never even dreamt were possible? Or transport yourself from one place to another? That's only the beginning. We can give you the medical knowledge that you will get. That machines that can produce food and clothing. What about weapons? If you want weapons on them at sea, we can teach you to make phasers, disruptors, photon torpedoes. I mean, I can't even spell the word photon. What do you want to do? What do you use for currency around here? Platinum? Palladium? We use dollars. Dollars? Do you have any gemstones or precious metals? You like gold? How much gold are we talking?
Now, see that point there. That's a serious plot hole because he said gold is good, but in the episode about the Lesepian lottery that he
Yes, he said
inherited from a dead Morn, he said it's only worthless gold.
it's only worthless gold. Yeah, What do you see? Is he still trying to lampoon the general here?
Mm.
I don't know. I don't know what they sound like, but
I love it.
it's just like literally is the four. He's just crystallized human society to four things. So fucking funny. Like genuinely, the middle of this episode is just genuinely just wonderful bit of comedy.
Yeah.
Dog.
Dirty little bollocks.
A little cheeky fecker, yeah.
Dirty, honest to God, the dirty bastard.
From his dad as well, like.
Mm-hmm. Must have a threesome with his son, that dirty fucker.
Ugh.
He was licking his lips there. I only ever noticed that. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Duck.
Hmm.
Uh-oh. It says a lot that like, just a slight change in lighting in this scene makes Odo's makeup look completely different.
Yeah.
Like he looks so much smoother
Hmm.
and almost younger looking just from
Oh,
being in this room with
definitely
white
younger
light.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine like if they used his makeup now on the next generation, like he would look so shiny. It'd be
Yeah.
surreal. A rumph.
He even said it was a harumph all you want.
Yeah.
The Vulcans already had it. Sorry to tell you, Quirk. They've had it a few
Awkward.
hundred years,
You know, I
as
let him
have the
figure that
Klingons
out for
and the
himself.
Romulans.
Yeah. Woof.
Hmm.
The
I'd love a pet Odo.
I think everyone should have a pet changeling. Would be nice, wouldn't it?
And one day I'm like, were those ball boys scaring you, Chewie? Okay, just change into a lion.
Yep, there you go. Bear.
Polar bear. Oh.
That works too. Marr. Flailing. Oh. Oh no, they've completely outsmarted this with their advanced sex. Oh no.
His face.
Oh no. Oh.
Uh-oh. You fucking Democrats, liberals. Woke.
Wow. To be fair, I want to see that. That'd be class. This is why it's so easy to outsmart Republicans. Just give them war and they're happy. Bring me to the next war. Ha! Alien sympathizers, hooray! Hut, 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 hut. Yeah, double axe handles. There's the real death
Yep.
ray. Palm strikes. My time as a dog is getting boring. I've had to shit in 3 fields just to keep my cover.
And it just went straight back up his arse because he's a changing.
That's what to say. Oh, I'm sorry, little fella. Come on in. We're gonna get assassinated. Hooray! Let's all flee to Argentina before we get shot by the military police.
Flee to Argentina, yeah, where the Nazis are.
Yeah. Probably safer there than you are in this fucking military camp. It never happened. It's a total fabrication. You're wrong. Why can't you let me just smuggle in peace? You fucking narc.
Fucking narc.
I just love the idea that it just photoshopped essentially a Ferengi shuttle into stock footage of a nuke. I just love it. I love it.
I just love the fact that the Ferengi are the Roswell aliens.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Well, think about it. They're all short. Now they're not
Mm-hmm.
great. They're all short with big heads.
Big heads, and instead of big eyes, it's big ears. Ugh, you non-profit bastard. That's the highest insult a Ferengi could give. Oh, oh,
Ah,
that is such a fun episode to watch back, isn't
yeah,
it?
it really, really is.
Yeah,
It
that's
really,
so good.
really is.
Like again, it's a type of episode like it's a very good season 4 episode because everyone the dynamic between the Ferengi, that the one between Odo and Cork, it's all established. You can just run with it, and it's a great scenario as well. Like I love the idea just as a premise alone is just tremendous. Really good episodes. Really enjoyed it. So
Yeah.
we're gonna get to reviewing it now shortly, which is gonna be intriguing. Let's see if it challenges our top spots. Before we get to that though, I do have a couple of guest stars, guests among the stars even to talk through. We don't have any new ships because the Frankie shuttle is there and perhaps doesn't really qualify for our it's a generic craft, so I suppose it's like we didn't see much of it really to judge it. So um I think always a good barometer for that is if you get the actual ship porn scene of them flying by perfectly, that's when it qualifies for our ranking. But we'll jump straight then to our guest stars. So I got four of them to talk about today. Obviously there's all other generic guards that were in the room and all that, but we're not going to count them because they were uncredited. But we will talk about the four main ones. So the first one we'll talk about is the only one and done in this sequence, which is James Gordon MacDonald, who played Wainwright, who was the fellow who was trying to slash the Frankie's throats there earlier to that. So here's the grand irony of things, by the way. Seeing that this episode was very obviously inspired by Roswell and very evidently leaning on the whole X-Files trope of like the truth is out there, the military is covering everything up. James MacDonald himself starred in the television movie Roswell, in which he played an Area 51 officer.
I like that.
4 years before, a year or two before this episode.
I like that. That's good.
He must have got such a fucking hack of deja vu off this episode. It's unreal.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
In regards to some of his other works, he's been in a lot of thrillers. So he was in Blackout, he was in Volcano, Broken Arrow. They were both in the same year, and Phone Booth. He starred in along with a few guest star roles in True Detective, Agents of Shield, and then being Detective Stein in Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, Jesus, he's been in a lot of good stuff.
He has, yeah. It's very much like that kind of almost at that period of syndication where like the episodes will always be up somewhere. Like you always see a bit of Buffy, you always see a bit of Star Trek, and a bit of like True Detective as well. And then those kind of movies you just kind of half remember. You remember faces, but you don't remember characters. He's always in that. There's a few of those in this episode really. But in regard to his Star Trek work, this is his only entry into the series. And again, goes without saying, but Wainwright isn't a predominant character in Star Trek lore, so we're not going to go deep in depth into them. But we are going to start talking about the other characters in this sequence. So the first one I'm going to give you is Connor O'Farrell. So Connor O'Farrell has appeared in Star Trek more than one time. So he was playing the character Jeff, who was the professor who was essentially in to talk to the aliens, to the Martians. Yep. Mm-hmm. So, how many times do you think he has appeared in Star Trek, Jerry?
I know of one immediately, and it was a religious alien in Enterprise.
Mm-hmm.
that took over the ship. I'm going to also guess that he appeared in Voyager,
Okay.
but for the life of me, I can't remember when and where. So I'm going to say two. But I'm probably wrong by that. I'm going to say two, but I'm thinking three to four.
Okay, so including his role here, so you're thinking three.
Yeah.
You would be correct. So, yes, indeed, his first actual entry is as Jeff in the episode Little Green Men. You are half right in regards to where he came from. He didn't appear in Voyager. He was actually in Enterprise twice. So one of them was correct in that he was the religious zealot Jamat,
Hmm.
or Dijamat, if you prefer, from the episode Chosen Realm. That was in the third season of Enterprise. But he was also in the first season as the character Burzan in the episode Rogue Planet. Essentially, where like there's a it's the episode, it's the planet that where it's perpetually nighttime. So I think he's one of the characters that would come up essentially as wearing like night vision, and he's in the kind of military overalls.
Yeah.
It's hard to spot him in fairness because obviously it's like a night episode, but he is in there as one of the characters, Burzan. Um, and I think he's one of the hunters. He's hunting the wraiths and shapeshifters that are on the planet. That's what his
Yeah.
role is. So he plays that, and as you correctly said, he was the Jamat, who was a Trianon. And again, he was one of the believers, and he wanted to took an encounter of them, make it believe, all that stuff. So yes, you were correct, right on the money in terms of some of his stuff. Now, in terms of the actor himself, Conor O'Farrell, still going as of this recording. He has very much done a lot of guest appearances. That's very much his bread and butter in a sense. You will have seen him in the likes of NYPD Blue, Buffy the Vampire Slayer again, 24, Desperate Housewives, 21 Jump Street, ER, Boston Legal, Cold Case, Prison Break. He appears in a lot of the serialized syndicated episode shows. He's also well, I think a lot of people will probably know him as the undersheriff Jeffrey McKean from CSI, who kills off Warwick Brown in the show. Um, and he was also featured in the show Without a Trace, where he was the serial killer Graham Spalding. So you probably know him from those two episodes or those two shows, really. But again, very much a case of like a very much a perpetual guest star of shows, like an episode of the week, like a appearance of the week type of actor. I think he's also like he makes a lot of TV shows and stuff like that. So he's certainly a consistent in that regard. But in Star Trek, he certainly has form for it, considering he's appeared multiple times.
Yep.
So let's move on then to Megan Gallagher, who, as you could imagine, played the shall we say, Nurse Garland. That's the name of the character in this episode, Little Green Men. But she has appeared multiple times in Star Trek. How many times do you think she has been in it?
I don't know because I don't recognize her from anything else. No, I know as soon as you say it, like, oh yeah, I remember that. So I'm going to say she appeared one more time, so a total of two.
A total of two. She has actually been in Star Trek 3 times. Would you believe?
Okay.
So, funny enough, actually, Nurse Garland is actually her second appearance in Star Trek. So, that was in the fourth season of it, as in the episode Little Green Men. But she appeared beforehand in Deep Space Nine, in the episode Invasive Procedures. That was in the second season. She was Mariel.
She was with the guy who was trying to steal Dax.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I knew exactly. I knew as soon as you said it, like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Again, she does have it's a completely different hairstyle. She does have a forehead prosthetic on, so it's kind of it would be hard to pick her out by face alone because her face geometry is completely different. But yes, she does appear in that. However, she does also have a Voyager credit to her name as well. She is actually in the seventh season. She's in Body and Soul. She's the character Jarin, who is let me say, let's see where we have. So, Oh yeah, she developed a romantic interest in Seven, or rather, Jaren's other half developed a romantic interest in Seven. She would have been a Locarim female,
Yeah.
commanded by Captain Rannick, who was obviously a different character. They were with war with photonic beings. They rebelled against their organic masters. That's the episode they came from.
It's just the one where the Doctor took over Seven's body.
Yes, I think it is actually.
Yeah, I remember
Yes.
her now. Yeah, I
Oh
remember.
yes, yes. That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, she played the Jaren in that.
Mm.
She's actually easier to spot in that one because again the hairstyle is different, but the prosthetics give her face away a bit more. So
Yeah.
so yeah, she's in there as well. Again, in terms of the actress herself, Megan Gallagher, again has a few connections to Star Trek in a sense. She is her husband Jeff Yeager is a guest star on Voyager. He was a character Iden in the again another 7th season episode Flesh and Blood. She's also the sister-in-law of Catherine Hicks, who was Gillian Taylor from Star Trek V: The Voyage Home.
Jesus.
So
Oh
fair.
God,
Yes.
actually. So sorry, did you say the sister-in-law?
Sister-in-law, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. Small world syndrome, eh? So in terms of her, now she has had a pretty impressive back catalogue. A lot of movies, a lot of TV. I'll kind of cherry pick some of the ones that she has been in. I suppose movies wise, you'd probably see her in the likes of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, where she got to work alongside her husband. A Time to Remember, Homeland Security is another one. Contagion, which featured a lot of Star Trek alumni, and also the comedy Van Wilder she would have been in as well. In terms of TV, again, a few I suppose guest roles, if I can be delicate about it. LA Law, Millennium was one of our reoccurring roles. Family Law is another one, The District, and Boston Legal as well. So again, a lot of guest roles. I suppose like a good mixture of film and TV roles as well. And by all accounts, still going. I suppose the most recent. I suppose the most recent work has probably been NCIS and Suits, if you want to count that as well. Again, like most kind of like guest to reoccurring roles is probably the best way of describing it. Outside of Mr. and Mrs. Smith would be I suppose the most prominent movie they've been in outside of Van Wilder. So I suppose whichever way you look at it. But yeah, that would be a kind of a good summary of her work. And the last person then we'll feature here is Charles Napier. And he was General Denning in this episode, the cigar-wearing Republican who has no doubt tried to run for Senate.
What gave it away that he was a Republican?
Mainly because he he didn't seem to like the president at the time, Jerry. I don't know what came across there. But yes. How many times do you think he's appeared in Star Trek?
I know of one original series credit that he has. So obviously one Deep Space Nine. I can't remember any Voyager or Next Gen or Enterprise credits that he would have. But I think I'm thinking that a lot of these guys who were in the original series were in it more than once. So I'm going to go for a total of 3 appearances in total. 1 in Deep Space Nine, 2 in the original series.
2 in the original series. I'm actually very impressed with you, Jerry, because I was wondering if you would remember he was in the original series, which you were correct. So I'm going to give you half marks on this one because yes, he did appear in the original series, but only once. He was only one character. But I see your point though, because he did recycle characters a lot in the acted a lot in the original series. But yes, he only has the one. Do you remember who he played in the original series?
Was he a Romulan?
He was not a Romulan. No.
Okay.
He was in fact Adam, from the planet Eden. It was the episode The Way to Eden it was in. So yeah, he would have had he would kind of wearing the weird toga, had the guitar, and basically he stole the space cruiser Aurora, and was intercepted by the Enterprise, and basically befriended Spock along the way. Then he died by eating an apple. On the world he thought he was eating. So it's almost like he was trying to really be on the nose about a biblical tale. I mean, it's Gene Roddenberry for you, am I right, guys? It's almost like he was a raging atheist, which he is, to be fair. But yes, he only has that one role to his name in terms of the original series. In regards to the actor himself, unfortunately, he has been dead since 2011, but known for his music along with his acting roles as well. He actually wrote the songs in the episode The Way to Eden. They play because he was a good musician in the episode, so he actually wrote the lyrics and performed the vocals himself, which is a fun fact. There you go.
Interesting.
In terms of where else you would know this man, quite he fits the role of like army general quite well. And if it's not army general, it's also just military types or sheriffs. So he's very typecast in a sense, and that reflects in his roles. He was the intelligence officer commanding Rambo in First Blood. First Blood had two, that is, I should say. He was Commander Gilmore in the Austin Powers films. He was Tucker McElroy in the Blues Brothers. Chrome Angel in Handle with Care, and Lieutenant Boyle in the Silence of the Lambs. He was also being pretty much the voice of the military characters in The Simpsons. So every kind of like drill sergeant you can think of from Simpsons episodes, he was the voice of, with almost without fail. In terms of guest starring roles, he was, and then this goes way back to his original series role era as well. He was in a few episodes of Mission Impossible. He was in Kojak, Knight Rider, The Dukes of Hazzard, Night Court, Murder She Wrote, Roswell, very appropriate, and CSI and Cold Case. So he has had a remarkable career. I think it's fair to say, like between that and his music, just a remarkable character. And again, the grand irony of it is the fact that he was a cigar smoking. He was practically a chimney. The amount that he was smoking. His dad was a tobacco farmer.
Well, there you go.
You know, I just you can't write this shit. Really, you really can't. His most recent role, actually, the last bit of interesting little trivia on him was actually in the episode Archer as Dr. Speltz. That was his last role in 2011, and he died soon after that when that episode came out, would you believe? So there you go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, fun fact. So that's all the guest roles. I think Jerry, you did quite well in that one, all the same. You know,
I didn't do too bad. I knew the first guy, definitely, and then of course when you say the other roles that they've played, you're like, oh yeah, you know that. Oh yeah, I know that.
So we're in the era of Deep Space Nine characters where you'll get like, and the next generation is a fucker for this in particular. Where they'll get that one person in going like, I fucking know you, and like it takes you that bit, like who did really well? The Enterprise did really well with Pete when they got Peter Weller in. I was like, I fucking know you for something. Robocop, motherfucker. You know.
I have to say, like when you think about that, like he's a big actor for Enterprise to get, and obviously they wanted to go out with a bang, so to get him in, he was in the last not the last episode, but it was like that last arc, like, the last big arc, yeah, and that was a great arc actually. That really was, and he was fantastic. He would then obviously go on to play an admiral in the reboot.
Yes.
He was a bastard in it.
He was a bastard. Yeah. Admiral Marcus.
I have to say, he plays a great villain.
He does. He's very, very good. Like, he has the face for it as well.
Yeah.
Like,
even though we think of him as RoboCop, but he is so much more than RoboCop. But RoboCop was good, and he's such a bastard when he plays in a villain. You're like, oh, this guy is good. I like this. Really, really like this.
He's in that kind of era of like, he's in that kind of like that bracket of actors where like you're almost certain they've been in Star Trek but can't remember how. Like there's a few people where like I'll put that card where like surely they have been in a Star Trek episode, and then you realize, oh no, they've never been. Like kind of way where like now you're just like kind of creating an episode weaving around the fact that like, oh no, Alan Alda is in this episode. Of course Alan Alda was in Star Trek. He was in the episode where he flew a military helicopter out of Vietnam 4. I don't forget about it. Doesn't matter. Look, kind of way. Like you always remember the actor first, and then the episode after that.
Yeah.
And you get that a lot then with New Trek as well. When they have a good guest star on, it's like, oh, she's great, or they're great, whatever it is, and the whole episode is built around them in a sense. But yeah, that's always the fun part of going through these old episodes and seeing how many familiar faces you see. A bit behind the scenes, myself and Kira are doing a rewatch of Stargate SG-1 at the moment, and just seeing all the very familiar faces pop up every episode is just very endearing. Like, I think we're only the third or fourth episode in, and Armin Zimmerman showed up. Like, so like it's quite appropriate. That's why it's kind of fresh in my mind, because seeing that who was very much front and center in this episode. Um, Speaking of, let's get to the review, Jerry. Because this is the fun part, and we'll see how Little Green Men rank amongst the top tier of our list so far. So, let's start off with the plot. Again, the initial premise, the hook, the elevator pitch that gets this episode onto the scripting. Our three favorite Ferengis go travel back in time and meet 1940s humans. I can't think of a better fucking pitch than that. I really can't.
No.
For a Ferengi centric episode, that's a bit of fun, a bit of carefree, consequence free fun. I couldn't ask for anything better than this. This is perfect. What a great idea.
Just like whoever came up with that was a fucking genius. The fact that you had them go back in time, they were primitive humans, but it also tied in with Roswell, and you're like, lads, you knocked that out of the park. Absolutely, just fantastic. Great episode. Just the whole idea of it. It's timey-wimey. As I said to you at the start, it's a timey-wimey episode. Click. It's a Deep Space Nine episode. Click. It's a Ferengi / Quark episode. Click. What more do you want?
Yeah.
Literally, what more do you want? This, you had Ferengi episodes in Next Gen. You had Ferengi episodes in Deep Space Nine. Deep Space Nine. You had Ferengi episodes in Voyager, and even the one that you had in Enterprise, but none of them captured who the Ferengi really were until Quark came along, and then Deep Space Nine. And then we were shown, yes, they're greedy, hungry fuckers. But at the end of the day, Quark, who's probably one of the greediest of all of them, let's be perfectly honest, would sell his mother and shove her out of fucking airlock, does have a heart. And
locked away somewhere, of course, yeah.
Under lock and key, but you just can't help but love them. You just and the fact that this is a full family, I love the fact that they did Comic-Cons together, and they would actually dress up at Comic-Cons as Ferengi, which is just amazing. It's such a shame that Aaron Eisenberg has passed away, because it's something that I was I was pushing for, even though I wasn't even part of Comic-Con at the time, that I was pushing for. I'd always make suggestions like, would you not get to trade them over and pay the little extra for the suit them up. The photo opportunities and the hilarity on stage would have been absolutely amazing. And I'm not even sure now. I don't think either Quark or Rom, the actors obviously played both of those. I'm not even sure that they dress up now. I think they might have left that behind for the simple fact that when they did it as a family.
Yeah,
they don't do it anymore, So
we're gone. Yeah, it doesn't feel the same. Yeah,
it wouldn't be the same without them. But they treat them in this episode's comedy gold. It's absolutely fantastic. I don't know. What would you go with this anyway?
Well, just to answer the question, who actually pitched this story, because I know you said that they're geniuses. The people to credit are Tony Marbury and Jack Trevino, who are both writers. Well, Marbury was a producer for Star Trek, not necessarily Star Trek at the time, just generally. But Jack Trevino was an actual writer on the show, and he pitched the days, and eventually this actually pitched back at the first season of Deep Space Nine. But they ended up it kind of like stayed in the melting pot until about the fourth season when Rene Echevarria then pitched it back to Michael Piller. Michael Piller kind of said no to it in the first season, but then kind of got warmed to it after a while and eventually made it the fourth season.
It wouldn't have worked in the first season.
I agree.
because
I
they,
totally
they
agree. Yeah,
weren't the three Ferengi weren't as established as they were at that point.
yeah,
If he'd have used it, it would have fallen on its face.
it would have.
No, it certainly wouldn't have been as good.
Mm.
In the first season, we thought Rom was a dick.
Yeah.
We
Oh yeah,
thought
like the characterization was
Nog was,
completely different.
yeah,
Yeah.
Nog was a thieving little bastard, and we
Mm.
didn't really know who Quark was.
Yeah, exactly.
It
And
needed those couple of years to be able to go, okay, we we
well, it
we,
was
we
quite
now have
convenient
it.
timing because the fourth season, the year, I think it was 1999 or 97, I should say, was the actual
97.
50th anniversary of Roswell. So it was the perfect time
Well,
to
that
put the
made
episode out.
that
Yeah,
made sense. That makes a lot of
yeah.
sense. But
So
no, I love it. I love it. I think it's a great
yeah,
episode.
yeah, I love it too. I genuinely think as a standalone episode, as something that is just a bit of fun, bit of goofiness involved. I don't think you can get any stronger than this. Like I'm inclined to go 9 or higher with this plot.
I'm gonna go 10. If
Yeah,
you want to,
okay.
if you want to meet in the middle, and we
I'm
go
gonna go
nine
nine
point
point
five.
five. Yeah, I'm gonna go 9.5 because, like I
That's not
said,
my point.
like I'm taking into account like as initial hooks and premises go, like it doesn't immediately snap him into the past, and that's a good thing because again, the story is that the Ferengi family are sending Nog home off to Starfleet. They're doing it their way. They're doing it the Ferengi way, and then it slowly reveals that like okay, like you think Quark is trying to be nice about it, but no, he is trying to earn something on the side because of course
Yeah,
he is. Why else would you expect him to be fucking wholesome like this? This isn't a wholesome character, you know. So yeah, no, that was a perfect in a sense, and I think a 9.5 is a fair result. Next then is the setting. So this is a good episode for settings. A lot of different sets, a lot of one-offs in a sense. Like the Ferengi ship, I know is a bit of a recycle of all the other like Ferengi ones we see here, but they do make it feel very enclosed and boxy. And as you said, like if we're working the maths of this, and if this is a 6 to 8 week stint in this fucking sweatbox, oh, that's a very uncomfortable shift to be in.
yeah,
So I can certainly get that across. And then the Area 51, the proverbial Hangar 18, and those sets just they look very very on point, like very to the time. Even the just as much as they really like whacked on the fucking cigarettes and cigars, it puts you in that kind of time period. They did everything right to make it feel like 1947.
yeah.
Nothing felt out of place for me. What yourself, Jerry? What was your kind of main points from the settings and vibes of the episode?
I loved it. Obviously, we've got the Ferengi ship, and to me that was the star of the show in terms of sets. I love a Ferengi ship. I don't know what it is about them. They're ugly, but I love them.
Yeah.
You've got the likes of the big Ferengi ships that almost look crab-like, I suppose.
Yeah,
Big
I describe it like crustacean.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. They're just so strange looking, but it's just something about them. I love them. And then the shuttles as well. It's like it's basically like a baby crustacean. That's what it is. It's like tiny little pincers.
That's exactly, yeah.
Yeah, tiny little pincers. But it's fun. It's different, and it's exactly what you would expect from the Ferengi in the interior. It's lavish looking. It's got that bronzy gold look to it. Exactly what you would expect from them. Obviously, it's not made out of gold because Cousin Gail is not going to give them that. But I just love the look of it. Then you got the stuff with regards to being back in the 1940s. It's on point. There was not a single thing out of place there, from the buildings to the extras in the backgrounds, the dog, the cars. Everything fit. Everything was perfectly fit. But the start of the show for me has to be the Ferengi shuttle because it's just cool looking. I think it's cool looking. Like they always have one of those big orbs as part of their controls, and obviously one of those orbs was originally used as a mind control device in the Next Generation for Bok to gain control over Picard. But yet they still have one of these things on every fucking Ferengi ship. I'm like, what's that? I absolutely love it. It's that little attention to detail that I absolutely love. So sorry, go on.
I was gonna say that it's very you can actually tell like the design philosophy of the Ferengis. It's all very orb based. It's round. It's as I said, it's the colors. It's like you can imagine like say if humans were still using plastics, Ferengis are using metals. Like that's like it's evidence the way they look at it. And the same with like the Klingons, everything is wrought iron. It's rusted. It's all cobbled together from fucking like other destroyed parts. You know, like every ship is feels and looks different now in terms of like what they are, as opposed to like kind of everything being the same generic sets. Like they are
Yeah,
there. It's a bit of visual language, but it's also a smart way of saying here's the Ferengi ship. Let's cobble everything together from the Ferengi ships pack that we have. You know,
yeah.
um, but yeah, that's a way. Like I always describe that the Ferengi is almost like there's kind of like weird, like chic '80s French cars that look are huge and wide and look aesthetically pleasing, but inside it's a fucking bag of nuts and it doesn't work. That's what the Ferengi ships look like to me. You know, it's like beautiful on the outside, but fuck me, you'll never drive them. Don't ever drive them. You'll die. You'll kill yourself.
Yeah.
So
That
in
I
terms
have
of
to
saying
say,
though,
how you described that was perfect. In terms of score, I can't. This can't be a low score because um, it's on point. Obviously, the some of the stuff was just very basic, obviously, because it didn't need to be anything other than basic.
yeah.
Because you were is a military base in the 1940s. You know, I could replicate that in my fucking sitting room. You know,
Mm,
so it's basic, but it didn't need to be lavish, and it was
yeah.
perfect. And then you've got the lavishness of the Ferengi shuttle. I just love the Ferengi shuttle. So I'm going to go an 8 to a 9 on this.
But let's go to 8.5 because I think I would be kind of in the similar ballpark. Like I didn't have any negative notes on this in terms of setting. Like the Sweet Space Nine stuff is minimal and that's good. And like I said, they don't show much of the Ferengi spacecraft, but I get the feeling there wasn't much there to begin with. Like it is,
Yeah,
it's a shuttle and that's it. There's nothing more else than that. But as I said, it's the fanciest looking casket you'll get anywhere in the galaxy. So what more do you want?
exactly.
Um, Next up then is I suppose is one of the stronger categories for me is the writing. It's a very very dialogue heavy episode. And it's an interesting take to do it because like as I said, like this is an alien invasion Roswell story. So to make it very character based and like, you know, the basically like it's Quark talking to humans or Rom talking to Nog and all these different parts it's a nice take on this episode.
Yeah,
Um, it's because it's also a smart way of doing it on a bit of a budget. You know, when you know you've got a good premise and you got strong characters in a good position, give the viewers more of what they want, which is just more character, more of these people. Especially because like I don't think you see much of Nog until the end of the season. Am I right in saying because he's in Starfleet Academy for all of it?
we see him in a couple of episodes when Cisco and Jake go back to Earth, and that's when the whole
Yes,
the double header of
the home front arc. Yeah,
home front arc, yeah, Paradise Lost and home front, when the Dominion are supposed to be on Earth.
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Fantastic episodes. Those they really were really good.
Yeah, so it's a nice send off for Nog in a sense.
Yeah,
And in a sense, like I don't know if it didn't feel like a Nog centric episode. Is probably the one thing I would say. Like he did kind of feel like it was a bit along for the ride, but this was the romp for the Ferengis themselves, which I think kind of makes the episode better for me. Like because like you know like something that's coming up recently in New Trek is that they will like dedicate an episode just to the character to build that character up, and the ones that they're doing now at the moment are excellent. They're so good. But that being said, you have a limited number of episodes. It'd be nice to just kind of do a standard like affair just to kind of keep up appearances rather than just go like hone in on characters all the time. This is an example of where actually making this a Ferengi adventure is better for the overall episode than just making it about Nog. Because believe me, there'll be opportunities to make episodes about Nog in the future, especially if this is where he's going. But the dialogue was excellent. The back and forth between the humans and the Ferengi. Odo again just coming in and just being like the party pooper, the whole thing going, no, shut up. You're going to prison. Come with me. I'm a dog now. Fucking woof. You know, he was just so good.
Yeah.
So good.
No, I would agree.
I have one big red flag though, which is, and I don't know if you feel the same way about this, and this is going to come up a lot with these time travel episodes, is that when they do come up against a present day character, and they'll always bring out a line going, I hope one day that we'll join the stars and become an enlightened race and we'll leave all the troubles of our world behind. It's like, stop doing that.
No one
Please stop doing
says that.
that.
No one would
No
say
one.
that. Anybody who meets somebody from the future right now in 2023 would be like, so, so can you give me the lottery numbers?
Yeah.
That's what they're going to ask. They're not going to say, I hope that in the future we're all better and we're all nice to each other and we've evolved. No, nobody gives a shit about that. They don't. So yes, I agree with you there.
Yeah,
100%.
like it, like I get it from a sense, like it's a carryover from the Roddenberry like kind of rule book, where like Roddenberry saw himself as a visionary in terms of like he wanted to kind of make it show, because he wanted to show how he had like mankind in his image,
Yeah.
um and to a certain respect, therefore, like he wants to have other analogs, like little character inserts of like, oh, here's this visionary in this time. So we haven't got to the city at the edge of forever yet, but the main character in that episode is the first example of the, oh, here's the future bit, the future of looking, Edith Keeler, that was her name. So Edith Keeler was the person with the vision for the future back in the Great Depression, and we see what happens to her in that episode. And then every time you do come across then a character in the past who are very clearly destined for great things, they just so happen to, have a almost perfect view of what the future should be. Like we mentioned Gillian Taylor there during the episode. So she was another one that like goes like, oh, I can't imagine what it would be like in the 23rd century. Oh, you've transported me to the 23rd century. How convenient. And even in Sarah Silverman's character in the Voyager two-parter, when they go back to San Francisco, like she's literally hunting aliens, so she just comes across cracked. But she's also like genuinely earnest and wants to help these people, these guys in the future. So it's the same thing, that it's a reoccurring trope. It is a cliche, and we're kind of in the height of the cliche at the moment. So I do have to mark it negatively whenever I do see it. But overall, the writing is really, really strong for me in this episode.
Yeah.
So I'm inclined to give it an 8 or a 9 with that point chalked off.
I'll go an 8. Yeah, no, I'll go an 8. I won't go as high as a 9, but no, I'll go an 8, and it would be something like that would certainly bring it down.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I'll go an 8 on that, absolutely.
Yeah, lovely. Next up then is acting. Again, Jerry, this is your wheelhouse. So, like, what was your main positives and negatives from the acting?
I just, the only negative I would have from the acting was how hammy she was when she said, "I hope we join an interstellar alliance of planets." I'm like, fuck off. That's just very hammy. Whereas everything else, you look at the professor, you look at the colonel, you look at the general, and it's all like, that's actually, it's exactly how people from the 1940s, 1950s would have reacted, and the acting is fantastic. You have the greedy little fucking dollar signs, or should I say latinum signs in his eyes, going, oh, I'm going to take over. Then you've even got Odo coming in, and Odo is just being himself, but it's Odo, it's good. You have the dirty little bastard that is Nog. Keep going. I'm like, oh my god, fucking hell. I thought the acting of this was absolutely fantastic. I do have to mark it down simply because of your woman, for the exact same reason as the last category, because of the hammy performance that she put in. I hope we join an interstellar alliance of planets. I'm like, oh my god, it's the only thing. That's actually the only part of this entire episode that we would dislike. It's the only part, like, this. Who got her to say it like that? Seriously, Berman, get in here now. Bear, get in here now. What the fuck was that?
Who was it?
Who was it?
Who let the ham in?
Yeah.
Who let the ham in? Come on.
So I would go on that. An 8.
Yeah, I'm happy with an 8 on that one. And the reason why, like, two other like positives I got from the episode, like two like ones that really stand out in my mind is Rom. when he's intimidated, he just starts crying for his mom. I was just like, that is such a
I
Rom thing
forgot
to
about
do.
that. It was so good.
Like,
So good.
like we know Rom
Mookie.
is kind of like a he's I suppose like, is it unfair to say he's neurodivergent? Like he's just so socially like awkward. Like, is it like, would he be reclassified as that now with
If
the kind of terminology we have now?
if he didn't have a child, which is
Yeah,
Nog, then yes, absolutely.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah,
he, he
that's
is
her.
he is he is very much like that. But
Mm.
you don't hold it against him because he's lovable.
No,
You know, he is
yeah,
very much lovable, and he gets the girl in the end.
he does.
He
Oh
really
yes, he
does. He
does.
really does
He
get the
punches
girl in
above
the
his
end.
weight. Holy fuck!
No, 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 no. It's like hold on. You're talking about above his weight. You're talking about the winner of the Premier League and the winner of the Sunday League five-a-side. That's
Yeah,
the
that's very,
difference
very true.
we've got.
Yeah.
Lita is up there because put it this way, Lita was one of Dr. Bashir's conquests, so that's
Mm.
how highly rated you would rate Lita because that's the way
Yep.
it is.
That's the scale
But
exactly.
absolutely just fantastic.
Um,
He's such a good actor. They're all
and the
good actors.
character is wonderful.
Yeah,
I love Ron. Whenever he just shows up, it's just it's gonna be like just a bit of fun, and he's just such an earnest and wholesome and genuinely nice character.
yeah.
Because it's like, you can imagine like when you are like on a spaceship like that, it's always going to be a Rom that everyone just goes, oh, I love that guy, and you can imagine like if you were actually there in the camp, it'd be him or not or Morn. You just like, oh, that guy, just love, just I unconditionally love him. Doesn't matter what he does. You kill 5 people and I still like the guy. Um,
Jesus, I'm
but
cold on now.
well, in fairness, more. But but the other high point from the acting for me is the scene where they're mimicking each other, and it's just like they're trying to fix it, and it's just like everyone's like
That's what
tapping
I'm
along.
saying. Like it's the when you look at that, it's so simple.
Yeah,
But it's all about. It's not even about any other actors. It's just about like, is he a captain or a colonel, wherever he was, and he's
yeah.
just it's so simple but yet effective. Absolutely brilliant.
It is, yeah, yeah. I think an 8 is a fair score there on
Yeah,
that one. Um, so then we come to the action. Again, it's another one of those episodes. I think we got this the last time with our previous entry. Um, Timeless. That's what it was. And it's busy, quiet, busy in terms
yeah,
of the action. And
yeah.
again, that works. That can work if it's okay with the pacing.
Hmm.
But like I said, because it was a very dialogue and character heavy episode, it's not as much of a thrill ride as we might have remembered it, because the whole middle is about just the Ferengis trying to like talking their way through the situation.
Hmm.
So I think it does suffer from that as a result. But the end is fun. Again, it's a fun little romp and an escape, but it's a bit light in action for my liking. What do you think, Jerry? Because I kind of
It,
expected more in that category for this.
it is light in action, but no, I didn't expect any very much action in this. Like you would expect the action that we got, like them trying to escape. So there has to be some sort of a struggle. And of
Yeah.
course, who's going to help them? Only fucking Odo transforming from a dog to double axe handle the shit out of the guards and the fucking general. The
Yeah.
general gets it in the gut. That was the short and sweet sequence. Just what this episode I think needed. It didn't need any more than this. I think maybe to see, I don't know, a couple of old air fighter planes go after the ship or something like that, something along those lines.
Maybe. Yeah.
Would have been nice to see, but it's that's fine. It's fine. Obviously, I'm not going to go any way high with this because you can't really, because it's not an action packed episode. This is not Year of Hell, or this is not
No.
Best of Both Worlds or The Way of the Warrior. It's nothing like that. So just because the stuff that we did see was like, it's short and sweet, to the point, good. I'll go 6 to 7.
Yeah, I was going to say 6 myself. So
Okay, we'll go 6 then.
go 6, yeah, because I think that's fair. I think it's a fair score, because, like I said,
Yeah.
I think if you were to throw in a big fucking bombastic action scene, it wouldn't mix with the rest of the episode. Like I said, they knew early on like where they were going with this, and again, I think budget like plays a factor in this, because this is the middle of the season and they want to conserve and like push other episodes out a bit more. So this was one that they could save money on because the script was so strong. and I think that's a fair enough assessment there. Okay, then go into effects then, and again, this kind of like this is kind of almost like attached to the hip when it comes to the setting, because when we're setting everything into the 1940s, like as I said, like the set dressing is one thing, but the actual and it's a very very small thing, but the fact that everyone is smoking is a perfect way of just setting the scene, because no one smokes in Star Trek bar Raffi. I think it's the only person I can actually remember who smokes,
Well,
and Rios, I suppose.
Rios, yeah, because he Jesus, and now obviously from the newest season of Picard, Vadik,
Vadik, yeah. So,
Vadik, yeah.
so again, you got those main characters. But outside of, like, so we say the Roddenberry era Trek, like no one smokes. And if it does, it's like, Picard like bluffing his way through a scene, like a Dixon Hill scene, without like choking on the fucking nicotine. Um, so essentially, so it's quite jarring, but it's also a good way of setting the scene, and it's a good way of establishing everyone there. Very small thing and so forth. Again, like just stuff like the lighting and all that. I just thought it was a competent episode in terms of the effects, without necessarily blowing me away with anything.
I think you're right. You've got, like, obviously the Ferengi ship flying through space. It's not something you see on a lot of episodes. You've got the effects of them basically time shifting. That was good. That wasn't too bad. I thought it was hilarious seeing a Ferengi ship, as you said during the episode, a Ferengi ship photoshopped into stock image of an actual
That was great. That's a positive in my book.
explosion.
That's really
No,
good.
that's not a negative at all. It's absolutely positive, because it's so simple.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff like this in Star Trek can be quite difficult to do. You look at the likes of what's the name of it? Sacrifice of Angels, like that massive fleet battle. That's so difficult to do.
Yeah.
There's so many elements going into it. Whereas this is simply, let's Photoshop a fucking Ferengi ship flying towards a 1940s stock video of a nuclear explosion, and it worked. It was good. And like as you said, the likes of all of them, wearing very very of the time uniforms. They're all smoking, and it's literally a line of them smoking. You even go to the point where the professor puts two in his mouth, lights both of them, hands one to his wife. You're like, that's what they did. That's exactly what they did. They didn't know the dangers of smoking then, and so everybody did it. So it's good. Obviously, you're not going to go a 9 to a 10 on something like this, because it's basic stuff, but it's basic stuff that really works really well.
Yeah.
So I'll go with 7 to an 8.
I was going to say 7.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because I think the biggest accomplishment in the episode is actually one that we haven't seen that much of, is audio effects. Because again, the biggest the kind of the plot point in the middle of the episode was the universal translator and trying to get that back working, and again actually kind of confirming what does it actually look like, because we were always led to believe it's in the comm badge or whatever it is, and sometimes it is, but obviously the Ferengis have a subdermal universal translator that obviously fits in their massive ears, because I mean, if you had that space, why not use it? So even to get even the kind of the washed out, kind of drowned out, half working translator is one thing, but what can sometimes easily be done in terms of getting the point across that the humans can't hear are hearing the Ferengi language, but amongst the Ferengi they're speaking English, and all it is literally the camera change. The camera is like in the, can we say, the ante room where the humans are looking in on the Ferengi. Change camera and you're in the room with the Ferengi and you can understand them. That is such a small. It's a small thing. Some people forget to do it, and it if you didn't do it, you would have taken the audience out of the environment. You would have taken them out of the equation, and it would have fallen on its arse essentially. So because they done that, as I said, competently done, like logical in a sense, without pushing the boat out. So I think 7 is a fair score.
Yeah.
Speaking of score, oh dear. I think this is the negative of the episodes, the biggest one.
It's the only thing, because having, I would have watched this episode multiple times at this point. There's nothing new. It's all literal stock Deep Space Nine score. Now, there's nothing wrong with the Deep Space Nine score. Absolutely not. When you look at the majority of the original series episodes, it's all the same music. It might be in different ways and it might be in different parts of the episode, but it really, really works. Whereas this is just basic. It's
Yeah.
very, very basic. It's basic DS9 score, nothing special. You would think with something like this, they would have added something new. I think this might have been because you do kind of get a bit of a Ferengi twang to the music, and you tend to hear that particular twang in other Ferengi episodes. But the thing is, it's still stock DS9 music. Now, I'm not going to go, oh, it's a 1 or a 2, because that's silly, because it's still DS9 music at the end of the day. We both know DS9 is my favorite show in Star Trek. Nothing has challenged it yet, apart from third season of Picard. But that's I'm starting to look at Picard as like a Bovril. Some people love it, some people hate it. I absolutely love it, and some people just don't. And I'm like, well, come here, listen. That's what opinions are. You can have yours, and I can have mine. So in terms of score, the score for score, I couldn't go any higher than a 5.
See, I was actually looking to the 2 or 3s in this one, and the reason I have is because I think there's a good, like, pretty much the entire time they're in the 1940s, outside of the action scene, there is literally no music and very little sound effects generally, which I think, okay, like they maximize the actual sound effects for the old technology and the sound of the lighter, the sound of the phone being picked up and all this sort of stuff, and that's to get you in the scene. So when I mentioned in the effects that like something as small as cigarette smoke, visual language tells you you're in the 1940s. You're in the past because no one smokes in the future anymore. A radio would have a radio with copyright-free 1940s jazz would have literally got you into the scene. And I know it's a military base. I know that they would have been unrealistic to put in that, but you can imagine that there would be like a 2 or 3 minute scene of like a radio playing in a different room where the Frankies are in. They're clutching their ears going, God, what the hell is that awful music? And it's fucking Frank Sinatra playing. You know what I mean? Like it's a small thing.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking like that is an opportunity missed in this episode to do that. I'm even thinking to myself, like I could have sworn they had done like military drums, or they would have done a little bit of a trumpet or whatever it is to tell you you're on a military base. But for the entire episode, for the entire time you were on the base, nothing, just absolute dead silence. Like there's fucking something missing in this episode, and it was the music. So yeah, that's why I'm in the region of like 2 to 3 for this one. Because would
you go 4?
I go 4, yeah.
All right, we'll go with 4 then.
Go 4, but like I said, this is very much about the opportunities missed than anything else for me.
Like as you said, I know what you said there. It's a military base, you're not going to have it, but not everybody on it was military personnel. You have doctors, you have professors, you have stuff like that. So the nurse should have had some sort of little radio on in
their own offices. They would have had a radio.
It's the thing is, that could have been a lovely little segue for the radio to be on, and then the news to come on saying they had announced that there was going to be a nuclear test in that's how they knew about it. That's exactly, so something like that would have worked to their advantage. So yeah, it was never going to be. This was never going to be a high rated thing. So yeah, a 4 for me. It wouldn't go any 4. It wouldn't go any higher than that.
I think that's fair. So then we're down to our final 3 categories. So next up then is scene. A strong category for me again. I think that my there's like 2 or 3 really good scenes in this episode. The probably top tier ones, I think, like when Quark is talking to the general and he's summarizing human society in the terms of baseball, root beer, darts, and atomic bombs. It's literally all he knows about humans. And he has lived and worked with them for 4 years, and that's the only things he's picked up from them. Is just excellent.
That's just it. He doesn't want to know. That's the thing. He doesn't want to know. He doesn't care. Yeah.
And that's it's so obvious as well, because like I said, he's only known. You can even tell when he is saying those things, he's just picturing the people he knows at DS9 that he has any level of relationship with. Baseball, that's Cisco. Darts, that's Bashir and O'Brien, and possibly Worf if he's pissed. Root beer, definitely Worf. And then atom bombs, I don't know, probably Cisco if you get Eddington on the line. Like it's like that's all he knows about them, and that's perfect. The scene where they're getting tortured,
Moogie, that was great.
Just like the 3 of them all taking different strategies.
Yeah, and you've got Quark panicking. You've
Yeah.
got like, no, 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 tell them the truth. No, no, tell them the truth. Then you've got like the crying from Rom, and then you've got the sadisticness of we have an invasion fleet and we're
Mm.
going to be landing Klingon shock troops. And you're like, Cleveland.
Yeah, like the episode disarms itself very well with the comedy, and that's its greatest accomplishment. Is that it just kind of like throws as it does with most Ferengi episodes. It's like it's building them to a crescendo and then comedy, and then goes back to what it was doing. I guess so, and it makes it a fun episode overall. Like I suppose the opening scene is just probably like that. It's a continuity scene than anything else. Is let you know, okay, this is the episode where Nog is leaving, and the little kind of piece he has with Jake at the top. In a weird way, it kind of falls a bit flat because like you think like there'd be more of a send off for Nog between himself and Jake, but they just kind of like play it cool a little bit because like obviously Jake is not going to Starfleet,
Yeah.
and Nog is, so it's kind of a weird switch with what you would expect of these two characters to do.
I think if Ron was really going, if he wasn't
Yeah.
coming back for a year or two in terms of
Hmm.
storylines or whatever, he wasn't coming back till the fifth or sixth season, you'd say to yourself, okay, they need a bigger send off. But the fact that it's only a couple of episodes later, they're meeting up on Earth
Yeah,
in
not that bad.
In Cisco's in the restaurant. So I think that's part of the reason why they didn't get a bigger send off. But I
Yeah.
don't think it didn't need it because it would have needed it again if it was like this is almost a proper goodbye, like we're actually saying
Yeah,
goodbye
exactly. If they're setting up the character proper, yeah,
yeah,
that's a fair point. Yeah.
if you're saying goodbye to Nog, but it wasn't going to be. He was always going to be a recurring character, and what a recurring character he was. He's absolutely fantastic. But in I don't know. It's a tough.
Like I'm inclined to go seven to eight on the scoring because there's no bad scenes, there's no wasted scenes. Everything's just really well done, and they're just fun to write and fun to watch.
I tell you what, I'll go an eight, but because obviously the scenes are good. That particular one fell flat, as you say, but
Yeah.
you've got the crying one, which is just absolute. It's just brilliant. Like as you say, the three different perspectives of panic, bargaining, panic, and then anger. You're like, this fucking great, absolutely love this. Yeah, so I'll go an eight.
Yeah. So I'll match an eight then in that case. Another strong category for me then is the characters. Like my goodness, like this is what happens when you have everyone established, and you just basically give them the perfect scenario to do what they they would do in this. Like Quark, if he sees an opportunity, he's going to make profit. He will do it, even if it bars any fucking law in the galaxy. Any moral issue that can easily be bent. Like if there was a possibility he could rule 1940s Earth with a gold latinum fist, he would fucking do it, and you will know he would do it. And you can bet your ass he'd do it. And again, you can imagine Rom whenever when he's in a stressful situation, he panics and cries for his mother. That is very on brand. And Nog, the actual smart one of the three, knows, okay, these are primitive humans. They're still in wartime. They're still paranoid about them Ruskies over there. So tell them what they want to hear. That there isn't a force coming and they are going to attack right now. And so forth. Like you're giving them exactly what they want. So they're all on brand. The dark horse in this episode is actually Odo for me.
Yeah.
Because like I said, he's not in many of the scenes, but the two that he's actually in are just him bollocking Quark, and it's just fucking excellent. Like that never gets old for me. It's just like like Quark will just do something ridiculous, and he will just get like hopped around the air by Odo, and that's just always entertaining. There's a very Tom and Jerry relationship that they have, and it's
100%. I couldn't have put it better myself. I really could. That's exactly the way it was. Because you even look at when we first see Odo in the episode, and he's it's basically when Quark is warning Morn, keep your eye on him, and Odo's just literally standing there with a little smirk on his face. Like you already know he's up to something.
Yeah, exactly. He's up to well.
You're up to something, like Quark is up to something, and then Odo's up to something. You're like, this, it's so good. Like it really, really is. If I could pick like two characters to have a spin-off on their own, that would just be a comedy show, it would be Quark and Odo, because that would have been amazing, absolutely amazing. I kind of agree with you here. The characters were fantastic. All three Ferengi playing very, very different roles
Yeah.
It's in this episode as well that you do learn just how clever Rom is, because we didn't really
Mm.
know before. We kind of knew before. Um, this is into the fourth series, so we know that he's able to fix the replicators and stuff like that,
Mm.
because he leaves a note for Quark in his phaser saying, "Have taken parts to fix the replicators. Will return them soon." And it's like you still think he's an idiot, but then you start to realize he's actually not. And you have to remember, this is the guy who actually came up with self-replicating minds.
Yeah.
Something that had never been done before, something that going forward, you're like, everyone who does mines now, this is how they're going to do it. They're going to
Hmm.
do self-replicating mines, because fuck, why not? Easy way to replenish them is just replicate them.
Yeah.
Done. So it's so easy. So he is very very clever, and this is the episode that we found that out. We also find out that his son isn't stupid either. The
No.
fact that he
Like
came up with
there's a genuine aptitude there. Yeah.
yeah, the fact that he came up with the idea of saying, no, there's an invasion fleet. If you don't let us go, you're all fucked. You know, right? Not even Quark could come up with that. So the characters
Mm.
are fantastic in this. I think for me, it's a toss up between Quark and Odo, because they're just the best characters. They really are. Like,
Mm.
this is why I love Deep Space Nine, because we have characters like this. As much as I love Next Generation and Voyager and Enterprise, they don't have the type of depth of characters that DS9 does. They
Yeah.
just don't.
Someone
No,
lose a bit of nuance to them. Yeah.
exactly. So it's just so good, so good. So I'm gonna go an H19 on this one, because I I I can't mark them low. I just can't.
I'm actually going to give this category a 9 because
Okay, let's go with
I
a
think
nine.
like it's the type of episode, and again, this kind of comes across a little bit in the likes of what would be a good point of reference for this? Family, actually, which we reviewed already in this, because by the time we do an episode like Family, you've already established, like, obviously Picard has his own shit going on, but you've also established that like Crusher has unfinished business dealing with his father's death. And then you throw in Worf as a B story, essentially, to see, well, what it was it like for a Klingon child to grow up on Earth, and
Yeah,
it just all ties in wonderfully on the same theme, and everyone resolves their little bit of character in between then, and that's just a perfectly round episode where
yeah.
all the stories tie up quite well.
Mhm.
Everything is nice and consistent in the scene. Perfect. They couldn't get any tighter than that. This is kind of a similar one where like everyone's now comfortable in their roles, and you're able to put them in a scenario down now that brings out their character. Like I said, Quark is the out of the three Ferengi, Quark is the most known quantity in that he is your Del Boy. He is he is your what's his name? His temporary escaped me, Oliver Twist. He's your Arthur Dodger.
Artful Dodger, yeah.
Arthur Dodger. He is the kind of guy. He is going to like. He will just find an opportunity. He's so streetwise. He is opportunistic. No matter what happens to the situation, he has to try and spin it to make profits.
Yeah.
With Rom and Nog, you're seeing how useful they can be to the season coming up. As you said, we've seen glimpses of it with this, but with Rom now, you're seeing like, oh my god, this guy can actually fucking like actually has a grasp of quantum physics and a grasp of time travel, temporal mechanics in a sense. He knows that the not Ketracell, but Ketracite is able to essentially have this kind of chronological effect. So yeah, let's use it there. So he knows all this stuff. This is stuff in his head, and he's able to just do it in his own way. So like that's already starting to become apparent. And then for Nog, what you're seeing is that he is educating himself. He's learning. And bear in mind, like this is a very important, like one character point that this is only reminding me now at this stage. Jake Sisko had to show him how to read. So since then, like he has not stopped reading. He is like reading the brochure on Earth. He's reading about their history. He's like applied to Starfleet Academy. You can imagine it's going to insist on a lot of fucking reading. So he is bettering himself. He is progressing himself in a certain way that is going to make himself a more complete person, let alone being a Ferengi. So the fact that he was able to identify immediately what do we need to do to get it out of the situation, and he does it, and that's shows you how good Nog is going to become in the end, and he does. By the second season come around, he's one of the most well-rounded characters in the show. Now we get to the consequences. so this is a category that's quite hard for me to gauge because like in a way it doesn't really matter the consequence of this episode. This is a fun romp.
I'm going to disagree.
Okay,
Okay, and I want you to hear me out on this one. Okay, so this
go
might
for
take
it.
me a second. Um, the grand scheme of things, the episode is it's a throwaway. Consequences. No, no. But when you really deep dive into the episode and look at everything that happened, you're like, actually does have fairly significant consequences for
Mm.
Star Trek as a whole. So hear me out. They went back and they are literally the reason for the Roswell uh, aliens sighting, whatever you want to say. Okay,
Mm.
that then inspired generation after generation of people to not only believe in aliens but to look to the stars to see if we could find aliens. Then, in the middle of the 21st century, we then came upon aliens, and
Mm.
we're like, we aren't alone in the universe. We've been saying this for years. We aren't alone in the universe, and that's part of the reason why humans had such a good relationship with Vulcans, because we wanted to know other races because of what happened in Roswell. Had
Yeah.
Roswell not happened, I don't think people would have been as engaging to travel to the stars and things like that. It's always something that people would have wanted to do. But I
Mm.
think because of Roswell and because the idea that aliens do exist, people I want to go into the stars. I want to find aliens, and then you come across the Vulcans, and it's sets a chain of effect that we're now part of the Federation and things like that. So I do think it has fairly significant consequences. But
Yeah.
yeah, as I say, that was a deep dive. So I did have to go deep down to get that. But
Mm.
I think so. It's not along the lines of um, you know, Cisco bringing the Romulans into the war, or Q introducing us toward the Borg. It's not the same thing, but they still have consequences. And I
Yeah.
do feel that this is a particularly big one. As I said, it had to deep dive, so it's not. This is not a 10 category, but I would certainly go a 7.
Yeah, I think seven is probably just even from your own kind of analysis there. I think that's actually a fair result because in the end, like it's a throwaway episode, but it does get knocked to the Starfleet Academy. It shows you that Rom can make something of this life of his. He doesn't need to rely on Nog in a sense because like again, there's been episodes prior where like he's had to lean on Nog a lot for actually like the almost like the reading part and the technical part that he can't grasp. So he's obviously able to do this now himself, which is big is important development for him. Um, in terms of, I also very kind of backward consequence of this one as well is that like there's a continuity confirmation as well with Cisco jumping in as Gabriel Bell. That happened like last season. It's like a very small thing. It's like we remember, like it's the writers telling us we remember. We're keeping track of this, and it's a small thing. It's like, yeah, that's good, like, well done, well done. So while we're mulling over the score here, I will ask the question I posed at the start of the episode: is this the best Ferengi episode of Deep Space Nine?
No,
I agree.
no. Before this episode, Quark had 3 or 4 Ferengi-centric episodes, some with the Grand Nagus, some with Moogie. You've got stuff like, there's an episode, I think it's season 6 or 7, when Moogie gets captured by the Dominion.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it might actually only be 5, I'm not too sure. Actually, it was season 5, because they weren't at war yet, so it would be season 5. Whereas the Magnificent Ferengi is what the episode is called. Such a fucking good episode.
Yeah.
We've got the one where it looks like Quark is actually dying.
Yeah.
You've got the the stuff that comes near the end of the season when Quark thinks he's going to be Grand Nagus and it's actually given to Rom instead. There's lots of Ferengi episodes. This is a great episode. That's not the best Ferengi episode.
Yeah, like I think I'm trying to think that there's a kind of an arc of Ferengi episodes, especially in Deep Space Nine, and I'm trying to kind of like be mindful of like what are the best ones that come across. As I said, the Emperor's New Cloak would be one, but I can't see past the Magnificent Ferengi as the best Ferengi episode. I think that is the winner there because
Yeah.
for me the the biggest thing about the Ferengi is that like they wanted there's two things in mind, right? Like obviously they were like initially concept like the concept was that it needed to be the new Klingons. It needed to be the perennial threat that the Federation had to get across. And then after two episodes of them being in season one, nobody was taking them seriously. They were the laughing stock. They were terrible, and also very obvious fucking like Jewish stereotypes. So let's nip that in the bud first off. So the fact that they changed that completely to make them more colorful, to make them more the more like comic relief was naturally going to happen, because even in the Next Generation they'd already started going down that route with like the Captain's Holiday and the Menage a Trois episodes, where basically the Ferengis end up being like, you know, set like loutish perverts essentially, but also kind of like acting the kind of like no, so they were the pantomime characters in certain respects. Then Deep Space Nine actually started taking them seriously and saying, okay, they do have this culture, they do have this, that, and the other, while also they still maintain the charisma, and they still maintain the goofiness and their own kind of like spin on things. So in that sense, the only episode I can think of that is a Magnificent Ferengi, because it's a mixture of all of that. It's like the Ferengi have got themselves into a seriously terrible situation here. They're in a hostage negotiation with fucking Iggy Pop of all people. How are they going to get out of this? What they do is a remote control fucking a remote control hostage.
A remote control dead Vorta. You're like,
yeah, dead Vorta, exactly. And it's like that is the most Ferengi solution to anything, because like I said, they're not the most they're not the most technically minded race, but then again, they don't have to be. They just have to be resourceful. They just have to get away with it and bluff their way through, because that's their culture. Is like they make the deal and by any means necessary. So yeah, I think that will always be the best episode for me. But in terms of this one, like as I said, if you wanted to kind of like do that kind of like spark that imagination in space travel, it would kind of start with Roswell. It would kind of start with like I've heard that these aliens have like giant lobes of where their head should be, and they kind of like speak about profit and all these different things. It's like that's all completely horseshit, I'm sure. But was it in the end? As we find out. So with that, we enter 7 in for consequences, and we are now going to see where Little Green Men rank in front of our rest of our episodes. So we start off as we usually do, ringing up the rear, and 26th place now is the Voyager Conspiracy on 59. The Arsenal Freedom a point ahead, or a half point ahead rather, on 59.5. The lowest ranked original series episode at the moment is the Enterprise incident on 67, followed then by Dear Doctor and the Flock-centric episode of Enterprise on 71.5. Now we're into the 70s here. We have Tinker, Tenor, Dr. Spy from Voyager on 72, joined at the hip by the Doomsday Machine from the original series, also on 72. A three-way tie then at 73 for the Next Generation double Conspiracy and the Battle, and then our previous episode in this series, Timeless from Voyager, all on 73. Next then, on 17th place is Little Green Men, who scores 75 out of a possible 100. So it is 3/4 a perfect episode, and I think that's a fair result, isn't it? Like,
I think so. Yes, I do. You know, we couldn't get any more out of it in terms of score. You know, I would when we started off, I was like, this could be ranked high. Actually, this could be like in the 80s. But as you go along, and when you really think about it, you're like, the score really let it down. A few little bits here and there let it down. But overall, a really good episode. You know, it's and it is. There is no denying that it is a fantastic episode.
It's a fun episode. That's the thing. It's like Timeless. It's like the likes of like the kind of the bracket of episodes in this kind of 70s range are just fun episodes regardless. They don't score heavy because there's always something that lets them down in the end. But that's just the nature of our scoring system. We're trying to find the quintessential best ever episode. It has to tick all boxes. Just because it doesn't tick one in particular, that's fine. But it's fun nonetheless, you know? So yeah, I think that's fair. Then we got Tapestry on 76. We got Space Seed then, a point ahead from the original series. Then Trials and Tribulations from Deep Space Nine at 79. We're now into the 80s here, folks. So we got Q-Who on 80, Cupid on 81. The original series double of Balance of Terror and The Trouble with Tribbles on 81.5. Now we are on to ninth place, which is Family for the Next Generation on 82, followed then by Skin of Evil, also for Next Generation. Joint seventh with the Endorian Incident from Enterprise. Sixth place is no small part, the Lower Deck Season 1 finale, 83.5. That is combined with The Visitor from Deep Space Nine at 83.5 as well. Then your top four is Emissary in fourth place on 84, Amok Time on 88 out of 100 from the original series. Second place is Best of All Worlds at 90.5, and still in the lead from Deep Space Nine in the Pale Moonlight at 91. So far, your championship holder has not been challenged yet, Jerry. So,
well, it's been challenged once by
it
Best of Both
has.
Worlds.
To be fair, yeah.
Best of Both Worlds, and it only beat Best of Both Worlds by half a point. But having had a conversation with you, I very much believe that at the end of this arc, try as I might, I think it's not only going to be challenged, but I think it will be beaten by 1 or 2 points. Now, do I believe? Now, I'm not going to, I'm not saying exactly what episode it is, but I do believe it's not going to be perfect scores all around for this particular episode. It's not going to be 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. I definitely think there's going to be 9s and 10s in there. But for me, it will probably go along the lines of a 92 to a 93, and I think that would be a fair score. If it got that, that would be a fair score. I don't want it to, because I do want In the Pale Moonlight to stay as the lead, because I think In the Pale Moonlight is an interesting episode to have as the top episode, of all time. It's not my favorite episode of all time. Don't get me wrong, but I do think it's up there as one of the best episodes of Star Trek ever. But you're bringing the competition, serious competition, and it's not just this one episode. There's serious competition coming along. But I have my ace in the hole.
You do.
I have my ace in the hole, and I believe that the particular double-parter, number one, it's Deep Space Nine, and it's probably one of the most badass episodes in all of Star Trek, because it hits, and it hits fucking hard.
Yeah, it does.
It'll be interesting to see exactly how. I can see why your doubleheader. I'm going to hazard a guess to say it is going to take the top spot. By how much, I don't know.
Okay,
but it is going to take the top spot. But we will see in a couple of episodes.
We will indeed. We do have episodes in between as we run up to that double header. Roll back to our previous episode if you want to know what we're talking about there. But as we change track, Jerry, as I said, we got a bit of levity in from our time travel shenanigans. That's the fun part of time travel, you might say.
Yeah.
But now it's going to get all quite serious from this point on. So our next episode on Best of All Worlds, again trying to find the best possible episode, is going to take a very strange new path, if you will, into New Trek, because we are going to be watching Strange New Worlds, our first episode indeed of this as part of the series, and we're going to be jumping straight into the final episode of season 1, much like we did with Lower Decks. If we're going to go do New Trek, we're going to find the best possible example of it, and we're going with A Quality of Mercy. Now, those who have watched Strange New Worlds will know the episode I'm talking about and what it's referring to. However, there's one person here who has never watched The Quality of Mercy, and indeed has been sitting on it since we announced we were going to watch it. And Jerry, even before we get to this recording of this episode, you still haven't watched it.
No, I still haven't watched it, and that's for a very good reason, because I want to watch it. Kind of like how I watched the original series episodes with you.
You're trying to capture the same energy. Yeah,
exactly. So I want to watch it for the very first time. Now, I do. There are some spoilers that I've seen online, so I do know certain characters and certain races that are in it. That's fine. I don't mind that, but the overall episode itself, I don't know. So it's. I can't wait to watch it. It's going to be interesting. I am not going to watch it though before we watch it. I'm up to date in terms of this episode. I will not go any further, so it means I have to wait until we record.
Indeed.
to then to continue on with the second season. Um, but yeah, no, I'm looking forward to watching it. It's going to be interesting. Yeah, because you see,
Mm.
I think the part I'm interested in the most is the two reasons why I said the particular race that is in it, and I want to see
Yeah.
exactly how they're portrayed, and the particular character, and to see how he is portrayed.
Yes.
Um, because I know of the actor that's playing him, and he's a great actor. So I'm
Hmm.
like, does he capture the essence of who the character is? I don't know. We will have to wait and see.
We will.
But no, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
Indeed. Well, we all those questions you have hanging there will be answered when we get to our next episode, which is A Quality of Mercy, for the season finale of Strange New World season one. And I'm buzzing for this one because I absolutely adored this episode when it came out. I'm still waxing lyrical about it as we speak. In fact, I'm holding my tongue so that I don't give anything away to Jerry. Nevertheless, we will cross that bridge when we come to it in our next episode of Best of All Worlds. First of all, on behalf of myself and Jerry Soul, thank you very much for watching this episode. Jerry, I would love to know, and I'm sure our people would love to know what you are up to lately. Do you have anything you want to shill as part of our regular promotion of Jerry Soul per month?
I no problem promoting myself. Absolutely, I am continue to stream on Twitch. We've been getting better and better each week. I have various degrees of good crew and bad crew with regards to us streaming Sea of Thieves. Um, so I've been playing that. I am back to playing as well Star Wars: The Old Republic with a brand new character in that. Yeah, if you want to join me, if you like watching Twitch, if you like watching gamers and stuff like that, one of the best games I think on Twitch, or the best game on Twitch, I think is Sea of Thieves, and we play Sea of Thieves every Tuesday at 9:30 GMT, 9:30 PM GMT, I should say, and then on Thursdays we change it up, so we might have Sea of Thieves. If I don't have a crew on a Thursday, I will stream the Old Republic, and that's on every Thursday at 9:30 PM GMT.
Yes.
Also, we as of this recording, we are actually recording this on the 21st. I am in early preparations for my panels at Dublin Comic Con on the 12th and 13th of August in Dublin. So it's obviously Dublin Comic Con. I have some fantastic guests that I'm going to be chatting with. So I have the Halo panel, which should be fantastic. I have is it Veronica Taylor?
Veronica Taylor, yeah.
Veronica Taylor, who's the voice of Ash Ketchum from Pokemon. And then, of course, to go along with this show, we had to have a Star Trek guest. I'm going to be talking with Christina Chong, which is amazing. It's just to just realize how lucky I am to be the person who's actually going to be interviewing her. It's fantastic. Obviously, there are a few issues when it comes to the SAG-AFTRA, so we have to cross those bridges when we come to them. But either way, I'm very much looking forward to it. I can't wait for Comic-Con. But if you are in any way inclined, as I say, to watch Twitch and to watch people gaming, my handle is twitch.tv/Jerry Souls VIP. GERRYSOULS and I'm on every Tuesday and Thursday, and I've done a couple of Wednesdays and a couple of Fridays. I wouldn't mind doing a little bit more, should I get the time. So we will see. But yes, that's what's happening in the world of Jerry Soul.
Lovely stuff. And like I said, I have nothing to promote because you're probably sick to death of seeing me on this channel, so I shall not repeat anything I've been saying the last while. I'll just keep watching the channel, to be honest, because whenever I basically have this PC not working, I'm turning out a video of some description. So we're doing a lot of very content on the channel, and hopefully fans of our future wrestling RPG will be excited to hear that there is movement on our long-term projects in that regard. So watch these skies, because something is certainly dropping in that regard. But for now, folks, thank you very much for watching. If you have been here for the full episode or just here for the review, whatever suits you best, thank you very much for your time. It was greatly appreciated. Please, by all means, share with this amongst your friends. See if they agree with our scoring of Little Green Men, whether we were generous or unfair to the Little Green Men themselves. And by all means, give us ideas for future episodes. Again, we'll have a new arc coming up after these sequence of heavy hitters are done. and we will be looking for suggestions from yourselves and indeed how to chain them all together to form ourselves of the next arc. So by all means, we'd love to hear from you. So just by all means, chime down in the comments below and do all the usual YouTube subscribe to Nerds of Us for more of the same and for stuff that are completely different. Because like I said, we're eclectic mix and we try and cater for as many markets as we can. As much of a small channel can do. But for now, anyway, we will leave you, as we always do on the Best of All Worlds, with a few words of advice from the little green men in your video.